Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, being here, and today I'm coming at you in with a video I have not filmed in a couple months, but I'm gonna be coming at you with my wrap-up for the month of January, mostly because I read like 4 books between November and December. I also managed to read like 7, I think it is, 8. I finished 8 books in January. So I also only have 1 of those books physically, so this is gonna be fun. It's gonna be great, all good times all around. But yeah, I'm just gonna hop right into it. So yeah, like I've said, I actually am in school right now, so I am not reading nearly as much, and I'm probably going to end up switching my Goodreads goal after January and now into February. I'm just not getting through books right now. I really am not. So I'm probably going to switch my Goodreads goal down to 50 books this year, just because that's going to be more manageable for me, I believe. Now, what I did manage to read this last month, I'm pretty proud of. I actually managed to get through several of the books that were on my TBR as well, which is just awesome. But let's start with the first book. And the first book that I read, I actually listened to the audiobook again of Jurassic Park by Michael Crichton. This was a reread for me. I read it last year. But John and I did a lot of driving for the holidays this year. We actually were up in Michigan to visit some friends for New Year's, and so that's like a 6-7 hour drive for us. So we listened to the majority of Jurassic Park on that drive. This is a great book. I absolutely love it. I am a big fan of the duology of the series. I am really a big fan of Michael Crichton's writing style as well. This isn't a new book, quite obviously. This is the story of basically Jurassic Park, which is a theme park that is created with dinosaurs. The majority of people know this story. It's basically how it goes wrong and how humans try to basically take over nature and be like, no, we control it, and nature's like, no, that's so cute, you don't. This is a great book. It's very well done, especially considering when it was written. You do have to suspend belief a little bit because he kind of makes up some science, but this is a great book if you are at all interested in reading Jurassic Park or you love the movie. This actually explains several things that happen in the movie, such as why Dennis is a bad guy. Like, he's just a bad guy in the movie, and we don't really get the explanation why. We get the explanation why in this book. He is a disgruntled employee. Like, it makes sense. There's a lot of things that this is a chunky book. It is over 300 pages. I shouldn't say chunky. This is a solidly length book. I highly recommend the audiobook over physically reading, just because for me, any sort of science, whether it's real or not, it's easier to listen to it than to read it. So highly recommend this book. I gave it 5 out of 5. And that's the only book, basically, that I physically owned. The next book that I read was, I actually started a brand new manga series that the library had, and that is A Man and His Cat, Volume 1 by Umi Sakurai. I gave this a 4.5 out of 5. This was the most adorable story. It's literally about an older gentleman getting a cat, and just the perspectives from the cat and from him, and you're slowly getting his story, what happened and what happened to the cat, and it's heartbreaking and adorable and just so sweet. And if you are looking for a cute manga to read, I highly recommend this one. Next, I read Keeper of Enchanted Rooms by Charlie N. Holmberg. This is the first book in a series called Wimbrel House. I just got the second one for review, so I will hopefully be reading that one soon because this was such a good book. This takes place in Rhode Island in 1846, and it follows 2 main characters. Our first one is Merritt Fernsby, who is a writer who inherits this house on an island, and it is said that there is magic, but he doesn't really know what to do with that, so he's like, alright, I'll just go there and then I'll fix it up and sell it, whatever. No one's lived in this house for a century, and he gets there and all of a sudden the house will not let him leave. It closes and locks the doors, doesn't let him go. Anytime he walks into certain areas, it melts the room. It's just a lot's going on, and it's a haunted house. And so he ends up calling up and getting in contact with an organization called the Boston Institute for the Keeping of Enchanted Rooms. And from this institute, Hulda Larkin is sent in to help kind of ground the house and calm the house down, figure out what's haunting it, what's going on, and basically what follows is a whole adventure of the two of them at trying to decide if he's going to keep the house and figuring out what this magic is. He ends up having to decide if he's going to hire a staff, like if he's going to live here, he needs to live here. It is a whole estate on an island. And then there's also a murderer on the loose as well. And this murderer is literally sucking magic and the life out of anybody with magic. So it's really quite interesting. There's quite a bit happening. There's a couple different viewpoints, and we do flash back to the past at one point, which did confuse me minorly, which is why this didn't get a full 5 out of 5. It got a 4.5, 4.75 out of 5 from me. Highly recommend. I cannot wait to read the sequel. Also, I have read Charlie and Holmberg before, but it's been a couple years. I read her Paper Magician series, and it was very well done. I really enjoyed it. I never read the last one because it wasn't out when I was reading the series. I have a habit of doing this. But I highly recommend. It was so good, so well done, so much fun. Yes, so this one got like 4.5, 4.75 out of 5. Barely under 5. There were a couple scenes that I just got completely thrown off. But otherwise, I was completely engrossed in the story and did not want it to end. I guess note for that one, there is romance, there is zero spice, but there is a lot of adorableness and a lot of fun times. So yes, keep that in mind. That directly contrasts with the next book that I read, which was Desperate Measures by Katie Robert. This is the first book, I believe, in the Wicked Villains novella series. I cannot in good conscience give this book anything higher than a 3 out of 5. It was good. It is a reimagining of Aladdin, I guess. Not really. It is a... So the Wicked Villains series is a dark series that she writes that's basically the villain and like the heroine or the hero or someone falls in love, and this one is a romance between Jafar and Jasmine. And if you want a good comparison, this was fan fiction, is really what it was. And I'm not saying anything bad about that. If you know me, you know I love fan fiction. I read a lot of fan fiction. That's exactly what this was. I have read something like this plot before. These are characters that already exist. It's fan fiction. It's great, and I highly recommend it. I cannot give it more than a 3 out of 5. Partially because whenever she talked about Jafar, all I could picture was the cartoon character from the original Disney movie, and it just didn't work for me in trying to find him attractive and hot. I loved Jasmine as a character. I did enjoy the plot, but again, like I said, I've read it before. So for me, this got a 3 out of 5. It wasn't bad. It was good. It had great spice. Spice was top tier for me. Really enjoyed that one. It was good. That's about it for me. It didn't really tickle my fancy. It was good for a really quick, spicy read. But I'll probably read a couple more of the Wicked Villains, but they're not my favorite, unfortunately. I'm not the biggest fan of her writing style, so that's personal, and I know that's an unpopular opinion. I have a lot of those, so maybe let me know. Maybe someday I'll make a video of all of my unpopular opinions, and y'all can list them out for me, so yeah. Alright, moving on to the next book. The next book was another little novella that I read, and that was Even Though I Knew the End by C.L. Polk. Now this I picked for my TBR game, and this was a Scribd recommendation. It was only like a 3.5, 4 hour audiobook, so it was super short. It was so good. This is a fantasy sort of story, a sci-fi. I would actually call it, you know what? This was an urban fantasy story, which I don't read a lot of those. This is basically a story about a magical detective who delves into a world of soul possessions, secret societies, and demons in plain sight. And It's so cute. There is a romance in there. It is female-female. It is adorable, and this whole story, the ending actually had me just like, oh, like almost in tears. It was very heart-wrenching at points, but it's hard to give a summary of novellas without spoiling anything. Basically, one of our main characters ends up selling her soul before the story starts in order to save her brother's life. And now the deal is, when you sell your soul, you are given 10 more years to live, or that demon that owns your soul can auction it off to others and that kind of stuff. But it turns out someone is going around and killing people who have sold their souls. By doing this, they're also indirectly attacking the demon that has their souls, because then the soul expires. In this world, demons aren't necessarily bad. They come across as humans, but they have their own version of a moral code. So a lot happens in this story, but it's very well done, and it was very well thought out, and I understood everything that was happening while it was happening. So I really, really liked this book. It was very well done, and I highly recommend it if you're looking for a quick novella to read. I gave it a 3.5 out of 5. It was good. I really did like it. There were a couple points where I did get a little bit lost, a little bit confused, but overall it was very well done. The next book that I finished was, I did finish Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix. This is the fifth book in the series. It has taken me 6 months to read this because the angst in this book is real and very annoying. Again, it's very realistic, so I understand why there's angst in books about 15-year-olds. I personally find it very annoying, which is why I have a hard time reading YA books. I ended up giving this a 3.5 out of 5. This is what I usually give it, 3.5, 4 out of 5. It's good. It's my least favorite of all the books. A lot happens. It's very important. It is my least favorite of the books, though. This is my reread of it. I've been rereading it for the past year because I'm slow, so. Alright, the next book that I read, I also picked up the second volume of A Man and His Cat by Umi Sakurai. This one was just as adorable, just as cute. I gave it a 5 out of 5 this time because it was so much fun, and we started to delve into his backstory, so the man's story, and it's very sweet, and it's very sad at the same time, and we get a little bit of background on the cat, and yeah, it was fun. I highly enjoyed it. Again, I recommend this series so much. It's so good. It's so cute. And then the last book that I read was an audiobook, and I listened to a nonfiction audiobook. I've kind of been on a podcast kick lately when I'm at work. I listen to true crime podcasts right now because that's me in a nutshell. And I ended up listening to The Man from the Train, the solving of a century-old serial killer mystery by Bill James and Rachel McCarthy James. Now, this is a father and daughter team who wrote this book, and it follows a serial killer, a series of unsolved murders, relatively unsolved because, generally speaking, other people were blamed for the murders, a couple were killed for them, but now going back, they're pretty sure that it was one guy who was on a train he was train hopping, and while train hopping, he would jump in and he would murder families between the years of 1898 and 1912. So this was, again, this is very graphic. It is a true crime story. It is nonfiction, but overall, it was very well done. It had a couple points where I thought it kind of went a little off the rails, no pun intended, and didn't really match up with the rest of the story, so it did end up getting a 4 out of 5 rather than the full 5 out of 5, just because it didn't really work all as well for me sometimes. But it was well done. It was very interesting, considering it's not technically solved. Like, I don't think this actually went through official channels for being solved. It was very well done. It was very interesting, and I'm curious about these murders again, but I guess it didn't spark my interest enough to do any additional research myself. So, I mean, take from that what you will. Right now, what am I reading right now? Right now, I am finally getting back into a book that I started in December and never finished because I put it down and forgot where I put it. But I'm finally finishing an arc that I have, and that is The Mimicking of Known Success by Malka Older. This is a novella. I am almost done with it. It is so well done. This is a sci-fi. I plan to finish this month. I've also got a couple other books that I'm working on. But again, my reading is very, very slow right now because I'm doing so much reading for school. It's literally taking up all of my free time. So that's what I got. I have also hardly posted on my other channel because I just have so much happening. For school, we have like 3 group projects going on right now, which is just messing with me. Plus a research, it's a lot. It is grad school, so I shouldn't be too surprised. And I know I talk about that a lot. I'm sorry, it is just, that is my life right now. So that's what I got for you guys today. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up and subscribe down below. We post videos on Wednesdays, Fridays, and then the occasional Sunday. We're probably going to start again at some point. But yeah, that's what I got for you guys today. I hope you enjoyed, and until next time, stay safe, stay healthy, keep reading, and keep moving forward. Bye!